Hello everyone, it is June 13th, 2023. It's Tuesday, it's Harp Tuesday. Welcome to this week's episode. So today I'm taking a look at just the first page, the intro as it were, of Godefroid's Etude de Concert in E flat minor. This is a piece, I talked about this piece I think in an episode I did many years ago looking at some of my favorite etudes. And I also did an episode looking at a nice arrangement for lever harp of just sort of the main theme. And so if you want to know more about this and how to finger and deal with this pattern, check that episode out. I'll put a link up here. But I don't think I've ever really talked about this beginning page, this intro, these sort of 3 lines of the intro that are quite different than the rest of the piece. And some interesting things here I thought worth talking about and hopefully helpful. So let's dig in. We have these opening chords, and the nice thing about having this on my iPad is I get to zoom in and really confirm and see which notes are there. So this opening chord, right, but we have a D sharp, which of course is the same sound as E flat, this grace note. And how are we going to do that? Well, I would say there are a couple options that we could do. So what I have here is to place, with 1-5-8 shape in the left hand, E, B, E. Right hand's going to be G, B, D sharp, E, and we play that grace note with 2 as into the chord. We could do the reverse. We could play the thumb first and have, instead of D sharp, we could have E flat and then have the chord have the D sharp. Doesn't matter, right? It's a little odd, a little bit peculiar to roll a chord and finish with the second finger instead of the thumb. Feels a little bit strange. The final, or at least another option, would be to slide the thumb. But I kind of want to avoid that thumb slide if I can. I'm going to be using it in the next one, but not on this particular chord. I don't need to. So, and I feel this gets a really nice, crisp sound. So then we have to deal with this next chord, which is a bit trickier. So again, we can certainly take these bottom 4 notes in the left hand. It's a 1-5-8-10 shape, right? C, G, C, E. And the notes we're playing with that are just the continuation of that C flat chord, G, C, E. But how are we fitting in? There's 2 grace notes now, a B natural, doubling the C flat, and the D sharp again. How can we do that? So one option would be to just simply leave out this G and play them like 2, 4, 1, 3, so that we would place 4 in a row in this case and play 4, 2, 3, 1. So from the first chord, remembering of course to change our B to natural, and that sounds pretty good. It gives us the same kind of feel as this. But it means we're not playing that G, okay? So, and I don't know really that we miss it, but I would like to include it. We can also do this, where we'd place, the G that we're going to play, the C that we're going to play, and we'll play the 2 grace notes with 3 and 1, and then move the thumb up and play the chord. So but I think potentially an even better or a slightly sort of more powerful option is actually to slide. So again, we'll place 4 and 2 on the upcoming chord. We'll put the 3rd finger on the B, the grace note, and we'll slide the thumb from the E to the D, so that in fact the grace note is an E flat. We'll circle it to show it's an enharmonic, and we'll circle the E to show it's an enharmonic. It's going to be a D sharp, so it looks like this. So as long as that feels okay and comfortable, I think that's, at least for the moment, that's how I feel is the best option in terms of playing all those notes and getting a really crisp sound. Then on this very next chord, I would recommend connecting to the bottom of this chord. I actually talked about that in the episode last week of how sometimes when you're playing a single note into a 4-note chord, it makes sense, instead of going and then reaching all these fingers down, it can make sense to place the bottom of the upcoming chord and just play the thumb. In this case, because it's fairly fast, or potentially fairly fast, that can be helpful. It's not so fast that you couldn't reach down, but I just think this is a really, really comfortable way to do it. And then we're right back to 4-3-2. I didn't write the fingering in here, but it's the same as the beginning. 1-5-8, 4-2-1 left hand, and D sharp. So he plays 4-3-2-1, play the D as the pickup, or as the grace note, and there we go. Great. I have a slide marked on my fingerings here. I'm not sure what that 2 is doing down at the bottom, by the way. Yeah, this should be a 3-4 on the bottom. But I think probably when I just played it right now, I just went, because again, it's kind of at the end of this little phrase. Sorry. I'm not looking to really have a super short 16th note there, rather than, and I want to avoid that thumb slide sound, but whatever. Anyways, again, I think it's fairly free. This whole intro could be considered fairly free. Then we're back to some chords, this time C flat major. What are we doing here? So again, if we look at this closely, what do we see? We see that we could do, is that right? Nope. We could do something similar to how we played the very first chord, that we could put 2 on the D sharp, 1 on this, 1, 3 on the C, 4 on the G, and then left hand could play 1, 2, 3, 4. Could play the 4 bottom notes, right? C, G, C, E, G, C, D sharp, E. Great. The problem is that the second chord, there's one more note. The actual chord, if you ignore the grace notes, is now 8 notes instead of 7. So it means the left hand is taken up playing this. And if we try to do, we're leaving out that E. So we have to do something. You can slide. So we can do that on the first one as well. I've always just played the thumb first on the D sharp. So again, I place the entire chord, the bottom of the chord, play the thumb, and then play the chord. I kind of prefer that sound, and I feel that gets fast enough. And so because I'm doing it that way on the first chord, rather than going and then changing the shape the left hand's playing and changing the fingering we're using, I will use this same fingering here. I'll do a 4-2-1 left hand, play the thumb, and then this time left hand, instead of just 4-2-1, it's 4-3-2-1, a 1-3-5-8 shape, root position shape. You could, those notes are marked staccato. You could simply think staccato. It's certainly possible. Sorry, is that right? Yeah. try and play some of them staccato, certainly these first three. At the moment I don't, but I can definitely see an argument to be made for that. But again, I think a lot of this, like these octaves, we're not going to try to muffle them. It's more that idea of thinking rather than a staccato sound rather than a legato sound. Then, haha, we get some rolled chords with harmonic on top. It's something that I still need more practice on, because you encounter it in, say, Godefroid's music and maybe some Boxa, some sort of contemporaries, but it's not used that often. And later works don't really have that. So, and it's a bit awkward, right? Because instead of a normal position, I mean, you can try to start from a normal position, but higher on the string, so that as you drop down, the thumb is ready to play that harmonic. It's a lot of work for the hand. I prefer to just like playing a double harmonic or a harmonic plus a lower note, to point the fingers up. So you're playing almost on the opposite part of the finger, or I guess like the opposite direction. We're pointing up rather than pointing down, right? You're pointing up and kind of just sort of flicking the fingers a bit. You know, find that harmonic, see if you can. I might have done an episode on this, because I know in Godefroid's arrangement of The Last Rose of Summer, he does some of these, like a big root position 4-note chord. So anyway, do what you can with those. And then we get this lovely little, and essentially we're going up. You could think of it as going up maybe on a F chord, in the sense that we start with this B, but then it's F, A, C, F, A, C, F, A, thumb all the way up on C. We'll talk about that in a moment. So again, if you zoom in, you can kind of see I've done a little swoop to show which are left hand. We're trading back and forth, back and forth. We get to the top. Right hand is going to find, we're headed for a B7. So it's going to be slide, slide, a double slide, which can come in useful. Slide, slide, 1, 2, 3, 4. So after the first slide, it's a root position B chord. After the second slide, it's a B7. B7 in the left hand. In the middle of that, we've gone, there's that 8 VA right here. And then in the middle of that, we finished that. So that's why these notes, suddenly are up here, but it's actually just going down. You could do all of this now with the right hand, but I'm still going to trade hands back and forth. And then we're into the main theme, right? So yeah, kind of a cool little intro with some interesting things in terms of how do we do these grace notes and get into the chord and have that sound good and feel good. And then these little roll chords in the left hand, some roll chords with a harmonic, some single harmonics, and a nice little chance to alternate the hands and try to make that as clean as possible. So I've played this F. I don't want to place too early because I'll hear that get stopped. But I can place the thumb. I can certainly place that thumb potentially a little bit early and then let the rest of the fingers go on. Anyway, to have that sound like one big hand, right? It's kind of cool. And as a bonus, I'll talk just for a moment about what happens here on, I guess it's page 5. This interesting little bit, 2 ways to play this little bit here, where we suddenly, again, once we get into the main piece, it's all this type of pattern until we get to this. So what we're doing, right? So it says La sharp, A sharp, which A sharp and B flat are the same sound. And so we're going to be doubling. And the written fingering here would mean that we would play, we would have it be this way. That it's, sorry, other way around. It starts on the A sharp, right? Yeah, it starts with the lower one. That it would look like this. So imagine we're starting on the second group, so we're starting with a C. 1, 4, cross 2 over 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2. So this is a technique that Godefroid employs in other pieces. Carnival of Venice, for example, Layne uses in Legende. It was used quite a bit, say in the 1800s, or maybe early 1900s, but has definitely fallen out of favor. If you've never done it, it requires quite a bit of practice. And so for me, I can do it. It's not as comfortable as the other option I'm going to show you, for me at least, which is simply to go, I'll start with this one maybe, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, just back and forth. And so in this case, it would be this note that's the A sharp. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. So I can do that faster. It's a different sound. If you haven't, it's definitely worth playing around with this fingering, but just being aware that the 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2 is certainly a fairly straightforward solution to that particular pattern. And then we also get some nice little double harmonics plus a normal note beneath. Is my understanding on this, that because there's not 3, we're not trying to get a triple harmonic, which I find very challenging to do. Where instead, double harmonic plus the lower note, which is just, it's like, especially when you have some of these bigger stretches, to try and hold that B is very challenging. So you're just getting the double harmonic plus playing the lower note as well. So hope that was useful, hope that was interesting. Again, if you want to know more about this fingering pattern, you can check out the episode I did for the arrangement for lever harp. And I'll see you in a couple weeks for another episode of Harp Tuesday. Cheers.